Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ox Podcast. I am your host, Hilman Batuo, and I am glad to have you all on this episode. For those of you who are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can stay up to date with the episodes that are going to be subsequently released. I'm so excited to have this channel to just be able to share my story, share my experiences, and also have others on the channel who can, also share their perspectives on things, share their experiences, and just, help each other grow from all these experiences. I think it's just this power in sharing your story, and I'm glad I have this platform to be able to do that. Today I have another episode which I think it's quite interesting to me as an individual, and I hope it can spark a discussion or spark awareness on the issues which I'm going to talk about, the topic which I'm going to expatiate on today. But I'm going to basically be talking about what it means for me to be a Cameroonian youth or an African youth, you may say. Because I think we have a unique set of struggles and experiences which puts us at different positions, sometimes at an advantage, sometimes at a disadvantage. And I feel like it's good to be aware of some of these things because awareness is key. I feel like awareness is power. I know when I say this and I'm like, we have a different set of experiences and struggles and stuff like that, a few things come to my mind, like a few experiences just instantly pop up, right? I think of, for example, looking back to times when life was so simple, where I would I would get transport money from my parents to pay a taxi back home after school. But of course, during my break time in school, I will eat the money or use the money to buy food stuff, because everyone else had food, but I didn't have food. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to buy food stuff with the money, and then I'll walk home. And it was actually a distance, but then I had friends who did the same, and we could just walk together home, hoping our parents don't catch us walking home when they give us money for transport, right? I also think back at, remembering the first time I got my first proper toy, like the excitement of kids who get toys, right? And I got my first proper toy which could make sounds and could sing. It was a toy car which could sing. I remember the song so vividly. Anytime this song comes on nowadays, I still remember the first toy car. It was boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room to spend the night together. That song. I didn't even know what it was singing, but just the fact that it could produce sound got me so excited. And I was like 8. I was like 8 at that time. So you can imagine the excitement was really had built up over years, and to finally have that was just something which for me was like, it was huge, right? Or how I look forward to getting my first passport, right? I got a passport when I was 17. And until that time, I always saw a passport like this huge thing which you only get when you gain a certain status and stuff like that. And for me, that was a huge thing. Whereas if someone hears that, they'll be like, it's a passport. It's a normal thing. You're supposed to have a passport. But then for me, it wasn't like that. I looked forward to getting a passport for 17 years, right? Or just getting so excited when I was driven in a car, which was not a taxi. That's something which for me is a huge thing, right? It's a big thing. I know I have a friend now, a really good friend. It's almost like a brother. We drive around a lot. That's something which we like doing. It just hits me up. Hey, what's up? What are you doing? Let's drive around. Let's just drive around the city. We do that at least once a week. Just drive around the city talking, without a destination, just driving around. And to him, it's probably just like driving around because he probably drives around a lot with just a work and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it is huge because driving in a car which is not a taxi has so much meaning for me, because that's something as a kid I always longed for. So now to just have that and have someone who does that so willingly and stuff like that, it means a lot to me. But you may not understand it if you've not had the sort of experiences which I've had, right? Or just understanding our family dynamics coming from a setup as Cameroon, and our family dynamics have a lot to a huge role to play in who we become later in life, and especially if we're not aware of it. So I feel like just understanding these kind of things really puts you in a different mindset, different mind frame of working, because these things make us unique. These experiences, these things have shaped me to be who I am, and I feel like, for example, I am more empathetic, because of some of the things I've had to go through, and the fact that I grew up in a community where you constantly have to think about the other person. Of course, it has its negatives as well, but there are positives to it. I'm more empathetic, I have a sense of community, I have humility because of where I came from. I'm grateful for the stuff I have because I know I didn't really do anything per se to earn it. I didn't do much more than another person who was next to me, but still I'm where I am today, and I have that sense of gratefulness because I know I didn't really do anything special to earn it, right? And I also don't have a sense of entitlement because I don't deserve anything per se. I don't deserve what I have now any more than another person who was next to me in Cameroon, for example. So I feel like this set of experiences and just stuff the struggles we've gone through kind of shape us and give us some tools and skills, if you may put it that way, which can come in very handy at a certain point, right? And I feel like there's just something I've noticed being in Europe for like 5 years and stuff like that. In Cameroon, I always wanted to go to Europe because Europe was romanticized, and it made life look so easy, like you'd have no problems in Europe and America and the West. So I always longed to leave, and I know that's a mindset which a lot of youth still have, and that's understandable. Um, and then I come to Europe, and I have another side of it's like that. In Cameroon, this was the greener side, right? The grass is greener on the other side, greener pastures. And I come to greener pastures, and the people who are supposed to be in greener pastures also think Cameroon, for example, is greener pastures. So I have friends here, people I meet here who were or were not born here and brought up here, who wished they lived in Cameroon, who wished they grew up in Cameroon, who wished they had the full on African experience. Now, both sides, of course, think the grass is green on the other side. Both sides may or may not be lacking some perspective, which the other side has. But it's just interesting to see that there is always that grass is greener on the other side kind of mindset, right? And that's just something which I feel like it is good to be aware of, but at the same time, it's good to be aware of how limiting it can be. Because I know just constantly looking and having a mindset of the grass is green on the other side limits you from fully maximizing what you have and what you're supposed to be doing now, right? It just places you at a disadvantage because you don't fully maximize what you have now because you think it's going to be better on the other side. I know I try to the best of my ability to enjoy the time I was in Cameroon, and I try to live my every day to the best of my ability. But it can be really, deceiving when you're in Cameroon, for example, and you think there's nothing to gain in Cameroon. Like the only way you can continue your life or actually make meaning out of your life is to move abroad or go to Europe and stuff like that. Because you go to Europe and true, you might get what you came there to look for. You might get a better education and stuff like that. But there's some things which you would not get in Europe, which you would get in Cameroon. But because you were so focused on that, you missed out on those things as well. And I feel like it's so important to just be intentional about where you are now and what you're doing now. Like prepare yourself for what you are hoping to get in the future. Because if you just stay now and constantly wait for something which you want to have in the future, when it comes to you finally, how prepared are you to actually, earn that thing? And I feel like just that aspect, and also constantly looking into the future, constantly trying to leave this programmed lifestyle to get to a point where you earn the most amount of money, constantly trying to toe the line and do what you think or society tells you have to do to get to a specific point in life where you're successful enough or you've made it enough and stuff like that. It really just, I think personally it's quite limiting. It limits you from fully navigating and exploring and, finding out the best version of you, because there is no one size fits all directory or guideline to living life. No, everyone has a unique set of experiences. Everyone has a unique background, which puts them in a unique position which no other person has, and that means your path to get to where you want to get to is going to be different per definition, because your path to get to where you are now is different from everyone else's. And I feel like just being aware of that and giving yourself the room to explore and discover and try to, find out who you are and what you're meant to be doing, what you're meant to be, what your purpose is. I feel like that is so key in helping us live out our full potentials as African youths. I know I came to Europe with the mindset if I'm going to become a doctor, and that is it, nothing else should distract me. And that was just the mindset. I was just going to geek out fully. But there's a lot more things I like in life than just, becoming a doctor. A doctor is not who I am. My purpose is much bigger than becoming a doctor. I have a lot more to offer than just becoming a doctor or a surgeon or whatever, right? And I feel like we should allow ourselves, especially as African youths, but I think youths in general, because this thing is something which I've seen across even the people who were born in the West. We should allow ourselves discover and explore, and talk about this exploration. I feel like bouncing things off other people is a really good way. Of course, people you trust. You don't just bounce things off anyone and everyone, but bouncing off people you trust and people you can rely on it's a really good way to actually helping you in this discovery journey, because I know I bounce stuff a lot. I bounce stuff off other people a lot, and that really helps me also put things in perspective, because they know something which you don't. That's a fact. Everyone you're talking to knows something which you do not, and just that one thing which they know might be the last piece of the puzzle you need to make sense of what you're trying to make sense of, right? They can ask you questions which you've not thought about. They can help look at things objectively, which you could not do before, because it's of course concerning you. But I feel like all this kind of things, just bounce stuff off other people, but give yourself the room to explore. Give yourself the room to be intentional about living in the now. Maybe your purpose is just helping. Your purpose here and now is helping someone else get to another place. Purpose can also be just helping other people, and that's something I've grown to realize and accept. Growing up in a community or in a society where community was huge, I can appreciate the role other people could play in my life, because a lot of people have helped me get to where I am now. I couldn't be where I am now if it was not for God and other people, right? God uses people in my life, and I feel like that's something which I've learned. It is just important to live in the here and now. Be intentional about what you're doing. People feel pressure to perform for some reason. People feel pressure to live up to certain standards. No, I live by reality, and this sometimes triggers some people, but I think I've seen things. I've seen people here today, and tomorrow they're no longer there, like they passed away. So this is a reality for me which is vivid, because I've experienced it. I know you can be here today and you're not there tomorrow. And it's like all this planning and all these things. It's good to plan, don't get me wrong. It's good to strategize. It's good to always have a vision for where you're going to in life. But I think it's also important to purposefully live out your life every second of the day, because you never know what tomorrow brings. There's no guarantee that the plan you have for tomorrow is going to play out the way you want it to play out. We have limited control over things. I feel like it's just important to live in the here and now. So I've said a lot in this podcast, but the core message of this is the grass is not always green on the other side. Wherever you are, that is where you're meant to be at the moment. And if you do not maximize it, if you do not live in that environment or in that place at that time purposefully, you might miss out on what you're actually supposed to be gaining from that moment and from that time. Do not be so, engulfed by planning for the future and stuff like that you forget to live in the here and now. Do not be so focused on the past and things that have happened that you forget to live in the here and now. The here and now is all you have. And you have two options. You either make the most out of it or you lose the chance to get the most out of it. So make the most out of the time you have now. And as a youth, it's so important to, just discover and explore. These youthful years, the stakes are low now. You can explore. You can, of course, do that wisely. You can explore and have wise counsel around you to guide you in this exploration process. But try to discover who you actually are. Try to discover who you want to be. Try to discover who you are meant to be, right? And towing the line, it might be the safe way, but I don't know if it's a sustainable way to find real purpose. And I think we all have a purpose, and we just need to go out there and look for it, and eventually, hopefully, you find it for yourself. That was it for this podcast, this episode. The grass is not always green on the other side. Make the most out of the time you have now. Make the most out of the environment you have now. Make the most out of the people you have now. And hopefully you can live a purposeful life. That was it for this episode. I hope you guys could benefit from this in one way or another. Be sure to let me know if there's anything which you would like to hear on the podcast, if there's anything which you would like to clarify about this episode, if there's any things which I said which you would like to dive into a little more, which you would like to question. I would love to have discussions about this. So be sure to contact me on whatever platform you follow me on. My handles are going to be in the description. Be sure to check that out. But yeah, guys, until next time, stay safe and stay healthy.